Hello, everyone. I am so happy. This man is a comedian. He's an Emmy Award winning writer. He's an author. He's been on The Tonight Show. He's been on Leno. He is one of the most respected comedians out there, and he's here for a second time. I could not be happier. Brian Kiley, thank you so much for giving me your time.
Thank you, Scott. I want you doing my eulogy when the time comes.
you you really are as good as good gets, man.
Oh, you're too kind. So how are you?
I feel like a woodpecker in a lumber yard. I'm a little giddy. I'm a little giddy, Brian.
All right.
When I have someone of your caliber on the show, I better dot the I's and cross the
Oh,
T's. You're a
you're
good
at the
guy,
top.
man.
You're at the top of your game. No worries.
I'm doing my best. I don't want people because you were on before, but let's go back to the beginning a little bit. You're in California, but you weren't. You were born in Newton, Massachusetts, right?
That's right.
Right. And that's where you started your love for jokes, right?
Yes. Yes. As a child, absolutely.
You used to write
Uh,
them down on the index cards.
I did. I did. Yes, I wanted to, I loved comedy and I wanted to get into comedy. And so as a kid, when I would come up with jokes, I decided probably around age 11 or 12 that I wasn't, that's what I wanted to do. So I started writing jokes and I would write them down for when I needed them someday.
Yeah, you
I
saved
wish,
them in the little container, mom's container, right?
yes, yes, which you would, it's like the same little thing where she'd put her pie recipes or whatever, you
Right,
know?
you saved them.
Yep. I'm
Okay.
sure they were terrible, but you have to start somewhere.
So then college is when you actually started doing stand up.
Yes, yes. I took a class. I went to Boston College, but in the summer I took a class at Emerson taught by Dennis Leary. So
College,
then, yeah, I took that class, and they encouraged me to keep going. And then I started doing open mics, and I just never stopped.
right. So, and I don't want to give it away, but let's go on to I want
Yeah,
to get from
I'm just trying to make sure that I don't repeat myself from last
yeah,
time.
me too. I watched the first one, but
Yes.
that's where again, I was going to ask the catalyst for you getting up on stage back in college. Was there a catalyst that said, Brian, get up and do comedy?
Well, when that class, I was as scared as I was always intrigued. And when the class went well and they encouraged me, that gave me the incentive.
Okay.
That gave me the little push I needed.
And that was what did it. So then going on to Conan, because that's March 15th, 1994, you started working for Conan.
Yeah.
Do you want to fill in the gap between that? How that all, because the way I saw you were killing as a stand-up comedian and then went over to Conan because they were hiring, that kind of thing. Is that
Yeah, I don't know if I was killing it, but I was doing a lot of shows. And I had kind of lucked out when I came out of college because the comedy boom kind of happened
in the 80s?
in the 80s. So I
Right.
was able to do shows every night and so on. And when the bubble kind of burst and the shows were on the decline, that's when I was able to get on Conan. So things just the timing just worked out perfectly. It just out of luck, that wasn't my doing, but it just sort of worked out that way.
Well, now because I told you beforehand, your brother or you, yeah, your brother and him were in a class back in Massachusetts, right?
Yes, well, when we were little kids, we went to Sunday school. So Uh, Conan was in him and my brother Dan were in the same Sunday school class, and I was in the same Sunday school class as Conan's brother Luke.
Okay.
So I'd known Conan a little bit from when we were little kids,
Little
like,
kids, right?
9 years old or something.
Right.
And then I didn't see him again until I got hired on a show.
Well, that's what he said. Hey, I know you.
Yes, isn't that crazy?
That's so
Yeah. So
cool.
yeah, so 20 years later, we yeah, 20 something years later, we reconnected and I started working for him.
Well, and I'm trying to move this thing along, but this is your second year of doing the Oscars with him.
Yes.
And I was trying to get with you, and you said, "Look, I got to do the Oscars." And that was like, there's my question is, that was like a month or whatever. How long do you guys prepare when you find
Uh,
out Conan's got the show? He contacts you, and how long does it
I would say it's about 10 weeks.
really?
Yes, we write a ton of jokes, and it's so funny because, we give them batches of jokes, and the early batches, and I remember, so I did this year, but I also did it last year. And I remember
Right, right,
last year looking back on the early batches, and we've got jokes about Matt Gates, and we've got jokes about Jake Paul,
right,
and the
right,
news cycle moves so quickly.
right,
So it's like, 3 weeks later, you're like, wait, who's Matt Gates again? Do you know what
right.
I mean? So, yeah, but we just generate a lot of jokes, and then also, there are film pieces that we have to shoot and pitch and see if they work and all that stuff. So there's kind of a lot of legwork. Like if you saw the opening montage,
Right.
you know, Conan's in 7 or 8 different movies. And they even had the animated one from the K-pop movies. So that takes a lot of work, and that take is somewhat time consuming for the animators to make it. So it's more work than people realize.
Well, you, Lori Kilmartin, there was a lot of, oh, you put all the people on that, and I
Yes.
guess that's what I'm wondering too. When do they get you all together then and you guys sit in a
Sure.
room?
Yep, we sit in a room together. Lori's a superstar, and we got a bunch of other former Conan writers together, and we're sitting with our laptops, and some of it we're sitting quietly and just writing jokes, and some of it we're brainstorming together,
Yeah.
and uh, yeah, yeah. So it's just a quiet room.
Yeah, I'm not trying to press you. I'm so,
No, no,
I've
no.
I've worked with so many big stars over my life.
Well, it's so much. I mean, we have a ton of laughs, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but a lot of it, if you filmed it, it'd be like, this is so boring. These are 10 people sitting around, each staring at their laptop, just thinking.
But
So
there's a lot of pressure to deliver good material.
there is. So I mean, the good thing is having that 10 weeks gives you a lot of leeway. And what we would do is when there are jokes that Conan liked, and he would go out and try them in the clubs. Now, I say that, but it's just very different. When Conan stops by a comedy show somewhere in LA, they're so excited to see him, you
Yeah.
know, and
Right.
they're ready to laugh. They're so excited. He's gonna riff in the beginning and get laughs just kind of off the top
Right.
of his
Right.
head, and then does it. But so you're practicing in front of sort of normal people, and the show is in front of there's Leonardo DiCaprio and Emma
Right. Right.
Stone
That's
and
yeah.
so on. So you can't practice in front of big stars. That's the only thing. So if we're practicing it, then he's just coming out like the old show that we had where it's Conan fans or just regular people. Um, then you can kind of have a good gauge of what they're going to laugh at and what they're not going to laugh at. It's very difficult to predict what big Hollywood stars are going to laugh at, you
Well,
know?
and you mentioned Matt Gates, and what was
Yes.
funny a year ago versus something happens that week, right as the Oscars, that you guys have to react and make a joke on it.
Yes, 100%. The news cycle changes so quickly, and a lot of stuff, as you can see with Trump, if we had stuff about, Venezuela, well, Venezuela got knocked off the news by Iran.
Right.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, February 1st, we could have had a great joke about Trump and Venezuela, but
Yeah. Come March. If
absolutely.
they just would have had a good Chris Christie joke. I'm sorry. I'm
Now
sorry.
you're talking.
Go ahead. Do you want to elaborate on that? Because
Well, no, I mean, we
I was trying to get you a little bit, Brian. I was trying.
No, you were you did it.
You were upset. You can't do fat jokes
Well,
anymore.
that's, Conan would tease me that's like he acted like I only wrote jokes about Chris Christie or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And the truth is, actually, Larry King was much more of a target for me than him. But
Okay.
that was Conan's running gag about there would be like a story in the news where, a tractor trailer in Montana would get in an accident and spill, Reese's peanut butter cups along the highway. And then when he heard Chris Christie boarded a flight and, it was always Chris Christie was always flying somewhere to get food where it made no sense, of course, where it's like, why did he just go to the supermarket? But there were, and most of it were jokes of or sort of fake punchlines that Conan would say, "Oh, this is what Kiley came up with." Where it's like, "No, I didn't," but he. Lately, people have been accusing me of never opening up, never revealing anything about myself or my childhood or my family or my past or anything. They say I never discuss politics or religion, and I never let on to who I truly am, that I just hide behind jokes. Um, well, that's all for today.
The thing about that I thought was funny
Yeah.
is he makes fun of your legs.
Yes.
He really
So,
does. He kills you on
yes.
your legs.
You listened to the podcast when I was on Conan's
Yeah, he's
podcast.
just on. Was it Conan Needs a Friend?
Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And so he he generally speaking has a little riff on the various writers. Now, if he doesn't have a riff on you, that's actually a bad sign. It's better. It's better.
Oh
It's kind of
yeah,
a.
yeah. No,
It's kind of a.
I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um,
Means he doesn't like you. He's better have a
yeah,
riff. Yeah.
yes, that's true. And so the running gag was on me was his thing was always like, you just work on your upper body and you don't work on your legs. And it's like, I do. They just don't get any bigger. So he would make fun of my skinny legs and he would call them
Linguini legs or something.
linguini and fusilli
Vermicelli legs.
and
Optic fiber legs.
fiber optic cables. He ribbon candy. One day I was late for work because I had to go to a doctor's appointment. He's told everyone I was late because I fell asleep and a little girl braided my legs together. So yeah, that was he's he's been teasing me about my legs for
For
many
anyone
years
that
now.
hasn't seen it, they should watch because it really shows the friendship that you guys have and how much he admires you, like I do.
Oh well, thank you.
You're always in the room with him at the end, or at the beginning to get him going and make sure everything goes right.
Well, we've had, he's the funniest guy in the world. So
Yeah,
it's been so much fun being around him and I learn a lot from him and yeah, I think we've had a good friendship over the years.
absolutely. Comics Unleashed. I saw you on Comics Unleashed.
Oh, you did. Oh, thank
I
you.
did with my buddy Christy McHugh.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
Christy McHugh. We're gonna talk
Yes.
off the air about that.
Oh,
Um,
I'm
no,
intrigued.
just because there's a story there about Christy McHugh that I won't tell on the air.
Okay.
Christy was on my show, and something happened, and then since then, Christy and I were like peas and carrots. I just love Christy.
Oh, yeah,
When
yeah,
I
yeah.
saw you two on the show, I was like, oh, I gotta, I'm definitely I can't stay up that late, but I'm gonna tape this thing. You have a book or two out, and the latest one is Tunnel in the Cake, right?
Yes.
Tell everybody about that because Wendy Liebman, a lot of people wrote up about how much they enjoyed the book.
Oh, well, that's very nice. I kind of did it. What happened was years ago. um, I was taking this class when I first moved to LA, and I wrote what I thought was a short story. And the teacher said, she's like, "Well, that's not a short story. That's the first chapter of a novel." And it was like,
Right.
"It is?" So every week I'd bring the next chapter, and then the whole thing with Tonight Show, we got kicked off the air. So I really suddenly had a lot of free time. So I really would go and work on it every day. And I love to read. I was an English major and all that stuff. But I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't plan it out. I just kind of like I had an idea of where I was going, but I just kind of every day I'd sit down and write a chapter and I'd be like, I'd come out of there going, well, that was dark. That was, you know, but
That
it
was
was very
dark.
liberating for me because I'd always worked TV clean. And this, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna swear. I'm gonna be dirty. I'm gonna be dark.
Okay.
I'm not gonna censor myself. I'm just gonna be sort of unfiltered and just let it go. So I was very fond, and then I wrote another one, and then so it, when this one I wrote when I was working at Conan. So um, and then at the end, so I I was busy up until the show went off the air, so I it took a while, but it's very fun. It's very freeing to me. My dream would be to write a novel that got turned into a movie.
Keep right. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That would be
Well,
so cool.
I want to try and ask you because you post videos on Instagram and different places, but there's a thing called threads that people may not know about. And I think on X, you post a joke almost every day. And it's just a one-liner joke.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I mean, I got to tell you, and if you go back and look, you can go back and look. I probably have liked 95% of them.
Well, thank you.
But going back to your writing, and that's what made me think about it. When you're writing the book is different than doing the one-liner.
Yes, yes, yes.
What's your writing process?
In terms of writing for a novel or writing for my
Well, that's
jokes?
what I'm saying. In other words, what I'm seeing on Threads every day or X every day
Yeah.
is a one-liner joke about your uncle, your dad, your
Sure, sure, sure.
wife, your son.
Yep. Yep, yep. So what I like to do is I like to write my jokes first thing.
In other words,
For
every day you get up in the morning and you write
I
something.
do. I get up and I try to write five jokes,
Okay.
usually before I have breakfast.
Okay.
So I wake up, I pee,
Right. Yeah,
and
no.
then I sit and write my jokes. So
Is there,
um
let me, I hate to interrupt. Topicality come into that? You get
no,
up and look at the TV and you see something? No? Okay.
no, because here's the thing. I wrote topical jokes for 27 years for
All right.
TV. So I don't want to have the sort of the Matt Gates thing where people look at my
Yep,
feed two
yep, yep.
months later and go, "Who's Matt Gates?"
I
So
get it.
I try to do evergreen jokes.
Right.
Now they might be topical in the sense of like yesterday I had a thread where it was the joke was
Take
sorry,
your
it's right here.
time.
I'm freezing my Easter eggs in case I want to have chocolate someday. So that was topical in the sense that it was Easter. Do you know
Right.
what I mean? But at the same time, you can get an Easter joke. I could, you could get an Easter joke in
Yeah.
October and still get it. You know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
I got you.
So, yeah, I try to make it evergreen. I did think it's so funny because when Twitter first started, I didn't want to get on initially because I thought, oh, is another obligation. I already have enough stuff on my plate. But when I finally joined, I thought, well, this will be a good testing ground for jokes. And
That's
if and if a tweet does well, then that's going to be a joke I can put in my act.
that was what I was wondering.
Right. And occasionally it happens like that, but for the most part, they're just two different things. And something that does
What
well.
about what about threads? Does that give you any barometer or no?
No, I think they're the same thing because for whatever reason, some jokes that look great are great written, but they're
Yeah,
not,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
you
Written
know what I
joke
mean?
versus you actually delivering it.
Yes, and one of my first big, probably my first big tweet, I had a joke about, that the African country Ivory Coast, and I joke about the African country Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is the only country named after two brands of soap. It killed on Twitter. And it got over 1,000 likes, blah blah blah.
And you
On
went out and
stage,
did it live.
nothing,
Yeah, no, I see that. I can see that.
nothing. So there are those jokes that it's like it's it on the page it looks good,
Yeah.
but and vice versa. There are jokes that you can say that jokes that kill on stage and you
And
put it on
don't equate to the written on Threads or X.
100%, a hundred
Right.
percent. So, there's no, I mean, there are exceptions, but but I do feel like, well, here's the thing, the game has changed in that
Absolutely.
it used to be about your credits. If you were on Johnny Carson, if you were on David Letterman, if you were on, had an HBO special, blah, blah, blah.
Dry bar. You have a dry bar special. Yeah.
Yes, but now it's very much about how many followers you have
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of getting booked in clubs. And there are people I never heard of who've got 2 million followers
Right.
and they're an influencer or they got one gag they do or whatever, and they can sell out a room. And I'm like, I never heard of this person. You know what I mean?
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
But and then there are people with great credits that aren't getting booked. So it's just changed in that sense. So I've made more. What you really have to do is you have to have a social media presence these days.
What's your
And
take on, and we could go on for hours about that because
yes,
you and I are, I mean, you're not as old as I am, but we go to the old stand-up comedian,
absolutely,
Henny
absolutely.
Youngman, Rodney.
Sure.
I mentioned to you that I met Rodney,
So
told
great.
about you wanted to buy some weed. I love one-liner stand-up comics and these new, what I'll call flash in the pan, Instagram, TikTok, that get up and they do a shtick and, they're really not comedians.
Right, right. I mean, there are very talented young comics, don't get me wrong, but I do think there are some people that are sort of Instagram or TikTok heroes that I don't know, and
They
what
can
can
fill
happen.
a room. Don't get me wrong. They'll fill a room.
They'll fill a room, but sometimes they've only got 5 minutes and they do their
Exactly.
one.
And you guys got to clean up the show.
Yes, yes. But at the same time, we're not filling a room. So I don't know what to tell you.
Right. I guess we have to
So
coexist.
exactly, exactly. So, um, you have to kind of work on your social media presence. You try to get your numbers up. You have to feed the beast every day. So I started doing a thing. This happened this about 2 months ago. I was at the airport. I think I was coming back from Philadelphia. And
Fun
uh,
facts.
fun fact, the woman next to me, she
I love it.
is
I love
got
it.
this book, 5,000 Fun Facts for Kids. And she's reading them to her daughter. And I'm eavesdropping and I'm totally intrigued. And I'm thinking, this is a great source of premises. So I order the book and it comes to my house. So now every day I'll just go to a page, I'll I'll read some fun facts and just put out a joke with
This
each
one, yeah.
one. And it takes me 15 minutes and I do it every day. And um, I have a few loyal fans.
We're gonna keep it going. I love it. I told you I
Well,
love
thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's if I show a clip from my dry bar special, that's going to do much better than
Well,
these
yeah, but
fun facts.
just in time. You have to build that.
Yes,
Think of it like that.
absolutely.
The
And
Instagram, TikTok
it's a
thing.
good writing exercise and it's a
Yep. Yep.
good thing and um occasionally I go, "Oh, that's a joke I could use in my act actually."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Today's fun facts. The average person can survive a few weeks without food, a few days without water, but only a few minutes without a cell phone. Urine is mostly water and can be drunk in emergencies, but not on a first date. A fingerprint is made by ridges of skin on each finger and thumb, and if found at a crime scene, can put you away for life. You have about 5 million hairs on your body. This book is kind of mean.
What do you think about the whole AI thing?
Here's the thing. I'm older. I'm suspicious, and I
Well,
do.
let me just ask you this.
Yes.
In other words, I've at Google Gemini or something, write a joke about an old man. There's nothing funny. There's nothing. It can't do it.
Yes, it can't right now. I do worry because it seems like it's getting better every day and all that stuff.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, I don't
You
know.
know, I do worry, and hopefully I'm worrying unnecessarily, but what if 10 years from now it's writing every movie script, it's writing every TV script, and they don't need us anymore, you
Right.
know? That would be terrifying. And even like these images that are putting up people, they're actually not people,
Yeah, no,
so
there's a because I was in the music business that there's now number one artists that aren't real people.
absolutely. That's terrifying. I mean, that to me, that's going to ruin music. It's going to ruin acting. It's going to ruin writing. So, well, I'll send I've stopped doing it, but I would send my kids something funny I saw on Instagram or something interesting,
Right.
and they go, Dad, that's AI. That's not a real thing or
Yeah, me
whatever.
too. I
Yes.
get it.
Yeah. So, but it's scary to me of not knowing what's real and what isn't real.
Yeah, for me
You
too.
know?
The last time you were here, you mentioned a short film. Are you still working on that? Is that
Yes.
coming
Yes.
about?
Um, I have a short film called It's Dad's at the Barbecue, but I wrote another one. I've just been so busy. I want to shoot those, but I like to do one a year
Okay.
and get into a couple festivals. And you know, if we can get some meetings out of it, that's ideal. And it's
Yeah.
also a fun thing to do. And it's a fun, here's the thing about most comedy shows. You do the show and then the show disappears into the ether and that's that.
Yeah.
But when you have a short film that you've made or a novel that you've written, you have something concrete that you can look at 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And it's nice to have something with a little more permanence or a little more lasting quality.
Well, you said that you would prefer, if things go well, for you to have a comedy show or this or that down the road, right?
I'd love to have I love old sitcoms.
Yeah, yeah,
And
me too.
and I'll watch my favorite episodes over and over, and I know all the lines and all that stuff, and I still totally enjoy it. I would love to have something that people looked at 20 years from now
Yeah.
or 30 years from now or whatever.
Yeah, I grew up on, and again, I'm Archie Bunker. Oh, Jesus, there, read it there, stifle. Back when I was a boy, everybody was an American. I grew up on that. And
Oh
Jackie
my God.
Gleason.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
we were talking about writing. My mind works. Last night I was up because now the Artemis thing's going around the moon.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about Jackie Gleason about knocking his wife to the moon.
Sure, sure, sure.
There's so many because, and I didn't touch on it, but I want to. That on Threads, when you post these, I I thought to myself, how many people steal his jokes every day? Because you write these jokes, and right before we come on, there's somebody that is you. There's somebody that pretends to be you.
Oh, there is?
Yeah,
Oh my
I'm
God.
telling you. I said, I got to tell Brian, we got to get that guy taken down.
I didn't know
He's
anything
just
about it.
reposting your stuff as he's Brian.
There's stuff that you just can't do anything about. So Jay Leno talked about this years ago. Just keep writing and just keep putting out stuff, and hopefully they can't keep up. But yeah, I mean, the problem with, you have to get known, you have to put your stuff out there, and then at the same time, you put your stuff out there,
Yeah,
and there are some,
yeah.
less
It's
than
just, in other
ethical
words, I've
people.
thought about stealing them. I'm like, my God, that's a great joke. I think I'm gonna steal that. No, I'm not going to. I told you I wanted to mention it. I did send you an email about it, but since you were on, I had Wendy Liebman on, and somehow I mentioned, about Kathy Ladman or George Wallace, and I mentioned your name. I said that Brian Kiley was on, and I don't want to swear, but she said he's a genius.
Well,
Yeah, and
I
when you
mean,
think about that, Wendy Liebman calling you a genius.
well, she's a legend, and
You guys did a show up in Boston not too long ago, right?
well, we hadn't done one recently in Boston, but her and I have done many shows together, and we did a
Okay.
million shows together back in the old
All
days
right.
in Boston.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So no, no, no. She's one of the all-time greats. So I'm flattered that
Well,
she
and
would
for
say that.
think about that for a second. When we stop this recording and you're walking around later, Wendy Liebman said that to me. You can watch it. She said you're a
Well,
genius,
well, thank you.
and I couldn't agree more. I think you're as good as good gets, brother.
Well, thank you.
Well, we're gonna get on to, I don't know if you got a new one or not, but just a couple stupid questions
Sure, sure,
because
sure.
I'm stupid as hell. I don't know if we've established that. He laughed. That's the hardest you laughed the whole damn time. What an idiot I am. Favorite food.
Favorite
Favorite
food?
food. In other words, it's the last meal, Brian Kiley. Your last meal before you die. What do you get?
All right. I'm a New England guy through and through. For my last meal, before I go to the electric chair, I'm
Yep.
gonna have a delicious lobster bisque,
Oh my God. Yes.
right?
Yes.
So delicious. Oh my God.
That's what I was. You know what? I can't do it because we're going to run out of time. But I remember the Iran hostage situation back
Sure.
years ago. 400. They kept him 400 days,
Yeah.
and the guy got released, and he said, "No more lobsters. Don't send me any more lobsters." He was from up there, you know.
Sure, sure,
But
sure.
yeah, I mean, I wonder that favorite food for me, it would be a lobster.
That's
Probably
funny.
a steak too. Maybe a steak with a lobster if they're going to give me
Oh
two.
yeah, 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 absolutely. Why not? Sure.
Favorite
You and I
TV?
we're preparing for when we go to the electric chair.
Yeah, not you, me. I'm preparing to get up from this interview. You got one foot in the grave, another favorite TV show.
Um, well, I owe so much to the Dick Van Dyke Show because
Okay.
that just inspired me as a kid, and it changed my life. So
Yeah,
I
I used to love it. Mary Tyler
I
Moore, loved it.
yes, and I've loved so many shows, but I'll just say that one because it's almost like if I had been an FBI agent for 30 years after watching the X-Files or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was gonna say the Dick Van Dyke Show because it just inspired me and it changed my life.
Well, and you love Bob Newhart, and I love Bob Newhart
I
too.
do. I
Yeah,
do.
I did. I just loved him. I think he was great.
What a great guy also.
Favorite movie, and then we're gonna do your comedy minute, okay? Favorite movie.
My favorite serious movie is a movie called the why am I blanking on the name? The man
Must
who would
be.
be the man who would be king.
Okay.
And my favorite comedy is The In-Laws with
Oh, I
Peter
love that
Falk.
movie.
Oh, so good. And it still holds
Wonderful.
up. So funny. Love it.
Yeah. Brian Kiley, your comedy minute. Go ahead.
So Bob Newhart has always been one of my comedy heroes.
Right.
And so we had a bit, Conan was hosting the Emmys, and
Yeah.
we had a bit where we didn't want the show to run long. So we were going to have Bob Newhart in a tube of air that has exactly 3 hours of oxygen. And if the show runs long, then he dies. So that's the bit. So Bob Newhart comes to Emmys to the rehearsal. We pitch him the bit, and Conan has me play Bob
And
in the rehearsal.
you sit in the tank.
I sit in the tank, so I'm sitting in the tank, and we run the bit, and Bob's off stage watching the monitor, watching me play him.
Right.
So what a thrill to have your comedy hero watching you pretend to be him for a comedy bit. And that was talk about surreal, but that was one of the highlights of my career.
Well, and I actually watched the video of him in the tank, and my God, he was great.
Oh my God, his facial
Yeah, he
expression,
was just, that's what he was so great at.
so great, and his reactions and his timing was the best. So great.
Let's face it, the Emmy broadcast, unfortunately, has a reputation for going long. Though scheduled for 3 hours, the show has rarely come in on time. Why? Because there are no real consequences for running over. Until now. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I have placed beloved TV icon Bob Newhart in an airtight container with exactly 3 hours worth of air. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's very simple. If the Emmys run 1 second over 3 hours, Bob Newhart dies. So keep those speeches short. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Newhart's life is in your hands. Good luck and Godspeed, Bob. Take him away, fellas.